Developing bench strength in healthcare organizations. In a study by the Corporate Leadership Council, 72% of companies are anticipating an increase in vacancies in leadership positions over the next 3 to 5 years. In the same study, 76% said they are less than confident in their abilities to adequately staff these positions. This lack of confidence is particularly true in healthcare, as we have continued to downsize staff and promote technical workers into leadership positions. In our many years of working within healthcare organizations, we've repeatedly seen the pattern of leadership positions being filled urgently. This often leads to misfits within the organization. We also repeatedly see super workers being promoted to supervisors and given little or no support to develop their talent. We set our best and brightest up for failure by assuming that the skills that allowed them to be great technicians or the knowledge of complex regulations will allow them to be a dynamic leader of other employees. Healthcare organizations benefit from an ongoing assessment of their staff and planning for promotions. We've identified a number of best practices related to succession planning. Organizations that are leaders in their fields identify their risk and have a specific strategy for developing their employees and strengthening their bench. The Corporate Executive Board has identified 4 areas of risk related to succession planning. Vacancy risk, the risk of critical positions being vacant. Companies must identify positions that are important for business success and should not limit their consideration to the C-suite. Readiness risk, the risk of underdeveloped successors. Transition risk, the risk of poor integration of executive talent into the organization. And finally, portfolio risk, the risk of poor deployment of talent against business goals. To mitigate the risk, the top-performing organizations are consistently evaluate their talent pool and identify gaps. When evaluating new employees, consider filling the gaps. Understand the requirements of the leadership positions in their organizations. Provide employees with both formal and less formal opportunities for development early in their careers. This should include roles that require collaboration and encourage cross-departmental sharing. Provide employees, and especially emerging leaders, specific information about their strengths and behaviors. Provide them with the tools to understand how they appear to others. Understand executives' specific areas for development. Provide feedback early and frequently. Individualized development plans. These should be formulated with each employee. Pair newly hired and newly promoted employees with experienced colleagues. Help the newly hired or newly promoted make connections. One of the greatest reasons for failure is the lack of creating strong connections. Recognize that succession planning exists at many levels in the organization. It is not specifically just a job of the Human Resources Department. Each leader in the organization is responsible for participating in succession planning efforts. Create a culture of development and opportunity. Employees at any level, supervisors, managers, directors, and senior team members, can begin to access their readiness for leadership positions within healthcare organizations by understanding their behavioral styles and how to use it to have a greater influence on those around them. We know that understanding your own style and recognizing where you have strengths and weaknesses when it comes to interacting with others is the first critical step to your development. There are a number of profiles in the market that allow you to measure your behavioral style and tendencies. We've used many of them and have identified and recommend one that is particularly relevant to managers, directors, supervisors, and senior leaders in healthcare organizations. If you are a leader and are interested in understanding your behavioral style and how you can better interact to influence others, we invite you to click on the link in the description box below the movie to learn more about your behavioral style with a free copy of the profile that we most often recommend.